So our DP was established, well, our first graduating cohort was 2015. So that means our current seniors will be our 10th cohort, will be our 10th year anniversary with our current sophomores now. So our 10th graders now will be our 10th year with our now our seniors will establish our 10th cohort. Our 10th year is 2019. For 8 graders now, we got 10 for ACCA. Now our seniors will establish our 10th. Many persons in the field
Sorry.
There's no that thing. And the land is the oldest obviously in the Southeast United States. It started in 1985. And they have a lot of success because from elementary all the way to high school, they have that same type of all throughout. And they have a lot of success because from elementary all the way to high school, they have that same type of all throughout. And they have a lot of success because from elementary all the way to high school, they have that same type of 4 or 5 on AP exam, they're in ninth grade, they potentially already have college credit. So as they take all these AP classes, by the time they graduate with 4 or 5 on AP exam, they're in ninth grade, they potentially already have college credit. So as they take all these AP classes, by the time they graduate with 4 or 5 on AP exam, they're in ninth grade, they potentially already have college credit. So as they take all these AP classes, by the time they graduate with 4 or 5 on AP exam, they're in ninth grade, they potentially already have college credit. So as they take all these AP classes, by the time they graduate
they're in temporary pre-calculus, they will take AP physics that are regular physics, but I don't want to get too deep in the weeds right now, but that's just something to keep in mind. All right, and so now you notice here, remember on the last chart, they had electives all across the chart for electives. The reason why is this person for their elective, they chose human geography or computer science person. You don't have to, but we recommend it so they can just get accustomed to saying, okay, I'm taking this college class in high school. It's still a high school class, but then they'll sit in they get accustomed to sitting for an exam, which they have to do in the future anyway. They get accustomed to getting that college, experience, experience of sitting for a college assessment and that kind of thing. So that can be ninth grade. And then, they take any other elective. Now, in a minute, I'm talking about double math in a second. That's a big old thing around here, but I will get into that shortly. And there's TOK or PPS in those courses. Next slide, please. Okay, now math. Here's the big thing. Okay, now look at the top right here. Now we can't see the color. We can't see the color that well, but the reason why it's in red is because that's what I was mentioning. That person would not get to go to the test. That's the regular. Well, hold on. Working out something real quick. So this person would not go to schools. I mean, they'll get to college. I don't make it seem like you have to do IB to get into a college. They'll get to a college, but not necessarily a high tier, high caliber, particularly like a technical type, math heavy, science heavy, engineering type of college. They wouldn't take this person. That's why it's a regular. Now, that's the regular 8th grade math. Now, let's say somebody did not do IB. They said, I don't want to do IB, it's not my thing. Okay. So they would take, most people, and this is different, I'm showing you all out. Most people would take 8th grade math at 8th grade. They would take, now, remember honors I told you about? You know what honors means? It means that the counselor is saying, oh, this person must want to do, we call it double math. That means they take geometry and algebra 2. So you remember that elective spot in 10th grade that we just saw? One of those is another math. So it's like algebra and geometry. 10th grade parents know all of this, but people that are new, I just want to give you like an idea. So that kind of sets them up because what I didn't mention was the prerequisite for IB math is algebra 2. They have to make it to that point. So that first person, they can't do it because by the time they get to junior, IB started already. They're algebra 2 is junior year. So they can never take IB math because they haven't made that part. So the majority of our students do this. This is what I said, most common for the PCB. They'll do all of this and then they'll take that geometry and algebra 2. So for those that are new to high school, we have A days and B days. So I said 8 classes, but it's 4 classes a day. So A day is 4, B day is 4. But for some people, contemporaries for math is twice, like the same teacher, A day and B day, because they're doing that double math cycle. And that's how they get that requirement from IB math. But if this person didn't do IB, they would take pre-calculus, then go to AP calculus. That's option. Or they didn't, they just say not a math guy, they're not a math person, they're not their strength. They can take AP statistics and they go into advanced math decision making. And I'm not honest with y'all. Advanced math decision making is the lower of the high school math. It's like the basic math to graduate high school, but it's not like it's not very a high caliber math class, so to speak. But it will give you graduation certificate, credit graduate. All right, and then down here, so that's what the institutional. I think I mentioned, I forgot one thing. So double math. Now somebody did choose to do DP, then they would take the 2 years for IB math because they met that requirement. But here's another thing I tell you too. Some people say, well, what about what about calculus? I really want that calculus. So if that's the case for some people, if they make it to pre-calculus by this time, well, let's go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a better example. So okay, so let's say somebody, now some people, now I'm not sure how, there's some discrepancy in my opinion about how this happens. And I would encourage you, if you're in middle school now, to inquire how to take algebra 1 in 8th grade. I know Wesley, I think does it automatically. I'm not sure about ACCA and King, but I know some students do and some students don't. I don't know how that's the case, but I would encourage you to inquire how to do that. So that way you could be kind of further along. So let's say somebody has algebra 1 in 8th grade. That means they can get geometry in 9th grade, algebra 2 in 10th grade, and they can still go down the line, pre-calculus, AP, the same kind of thing we mentioned before. Now, what some people do is they'll take algebra in 8th grade and double math in 9th grade. The same double math I told you about earlier. They'll do that in 9th grade. Then it's pre-calculus in 10th grade. And at that point, if they wanted to, they can take AP calculus here and then still take the second year of IB math. Or they can just take the 2 years of IB math. It's really, either way, it's fine. It's really a comparable class. Only reason why people do that, honestly, they just want to have AP calculus in their transcript. They want to show AP calculus also in addition to IB math. But the class is so similar that they can do AP calculus year 1 and still take the second year of IB math and not miss speed. They just right on it, keep on going. If they don't want that, that's fine. They take 2 years of IB math. But those options are on the table for our students. And I think that's all I want to say about that. Okay, I'll leave it at that. All right, yes, next slide, please. Okay, now I mentioned pathways. Before I probably let me just pause for a second. Everybody good so far? I'm landing on you. So everybody fine so far? Okay. So these are called CPAE pathways that I mentioned. So these are the ones that most of our CP students do because there isn't an IB equivalent. Now, fine arts pathways count for CP also, but there's an IB version of those classes. There is no IB graphic design or IB JROTC or IB web visual design. But if somebody loves those classes, they can stay in that pathway as long as they continue. They can stay in it as long as they take the IB class, but they have to finish 3 consecutive years of these types of classes. And then at the end, they can take work-based learning, but they can start in the first year or the second year. So just to mention to the freshmen, to the underclassmen people, you only have 2 chances to decide. It has to be 3 years. It can be 9, 10, 11. Hey, you're done, pathway over. You can start a pathway in 9 and say, I don't really like that one. I'm gonna do it different. You can change, then it's 10, 11, 12. But you can't change your mind to that. It's only, it's only 3 years, only 4 years in the hospital. And you have 3 years to get these pathways in. So that's what it is. So you can pick and choose as options, but that's that. But that's how the pathways work. So anybody that takes any of these classes, they can do CP, but they have to finish all of this, whether it's any of these 5 courses. And I'll do that. All right, so the next slide, please. Okay, and I'm just going to show this just to show it. Now we have a music. Now we used to, but we no longer offer IB music. So there is still, chorus, band, orchestra. I still can take those classes. So they can still do IB, they still do CP, but they can just finish their pathway. They don't just take beginning course, intermediate course, advanced course, and move on. That's what it is. And then they can still do CP, still take IB classes and all that, and still take those classes, but not they would have to. Somebody loves band, orchestra, or chorus, and they want to stay in those classes, but most of their high school finish pathway, they would have to do CP. They couldn't do DP because there is no DP equivalent to fit in that spot. All right, so next slide, please. All right, and same thing. So you see dance, same thing I mentioned earlier, goes in IB dance, theater, IB theater, visual arts, IB arts. So it goes into that. One thing I forgot to mention, if somebody does IB audio video technology and film, AV tech, that's like film kind of class. If they finish that pathway, if they get to the 3rd year, let's say they do audio video tech 1 in 9th grade, audio video tech 2 in 10th grade, and audio video tech 3 in 10th grade, if they want to, they can go ahead and take IB film year 2 in the last year because the same teachers did the same kind of field. So they just tackle the IB class they want to, just they add that little extra boost after they finish that pathway. So that's the one exception because audio video tech and IB film kind of match together a little bit, but the rest of them don't as much. All right, so next slide, please. Okay, so these are real schedules. These are 2 students that I pulled. We took names off, of course, and I'm going to show you what a real IB schedule looks like. For this person's BP, this person's CP. So I mentioned A day and B day. So just to give you an idea. So this person had AP physics, so that means they took pre-calculus in 10th grade. So now they're in AP physics. All right, and then they have biology, that's the biology, that's the class they have. And in a moment, I'll explain SL and HL. I'm going to talk about SL and HL, but I'll tell you that. HL means higher level, SL means standard level, but I'll explain just a moment. All right, so we have TOK, the Y1 means year 1. They have history of America, which is the history class, 11th grade. They have Spanish, IB Lit, math, and film. This is this person's schedule. And you know what? This is the junior. Next year is going to be exactly the same, except it's going to have economics there instead of physics. It'll be a different teacher, maybe. Sometimes it won't be, but that's what their schedule is. So that's what IB schedule looks like. But DP schedule looks like. Now, for CP, this person has AP language in 11th grade. You know why? Because they didn't take AP Language in grade. They took ninth grade, they took, English in ninth grade lit, they took 10th grade lit in 10th grade, and now they're AP Lang in 11th grade. So they didn't have to do the extra accelerated route. So my point is, it's accessible to everybody. And we don't want to make it seem like you have to take those rigorous classes to do it. You can be a regular student, take a regular class, and then say, you know what, let me go ahead and just take AP Bird Language the same time everybody, well, most people do, and move on from there. But so that's their AP class. They have PPS, class I mentioned earlier, kind of like ethical business type stuff. That's their pathways, JROTC, they're JROTC student, that's their pathway. They're taking Chinese, because remember, well, they didn't have to, but they like Chinese, they chose to continue with that pathway. So they went that route with that, that language, so to speak. They're taking algebra 2. Now, remember I mentioned earlier, I was like, oh, this person, they have made this far algebra 2. This person, they're not trying to go to Georgia Tech. They just want to take some high level classes, they want to get into a good school, math is their forte. So they're taking algebra 2 when people take algebra 2, which is usually 11th grade to just the graduate. So my point is, it's a lot of it's levels, all kind of levels. So it's tough with everything. All right, this person takes physics, which is what most people understand. Then they have U.S. history and IB film. Now, one thing I want to mention is this: the same person, Mr. Murray, he has U.S. history and IB film. It's the same teacher. So just to put it out there, people that are in IB history year 1, they just take AP history exam because why not? Because the teacher teach them they learn the same thing anyway. So when they junior year, they say, you know what, all my IB students, let's go ahead and take AP history exam because I know you're gonna pass it. And they take it and they pass it. And then the second year, they'll take an IB exam. So it's just another opportunity for the college credit. They say, I'm gonna try again. So it's 2 chances to do that. Honestly, it's also the same with the AP calculus and math that I mentioned. They'll take AP calculus in 11th grade, take the exam, make whatever they made, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, and then turn around and take the IB class in, just for that extra reinforcement, extra little boost to say, okay, well, when colleges see it, they'll say, okay, well, they took both of the class into the exam. Okay, if they do well on them, fine. If they don't, just nothing to put out there. The AP exams don't even come out. AP nor IB exam scores come out until after the school year is over. The grade is already in. The next year is about to start. So it doesn't affect the grade of the class. It's just for the college credit or not. That's all it is. They get college credit, don't get college credit. That's all it is. So we just try. If it works out, well. If it doesn't, oh well, you're still getting the college you want to get into. All right. So that's an example. Those are 2 examples of 2 different, CP and VP schedule, just to give you an idea. Now, yeah, look at that. All right. Yes. Next slide. Okay. So for DP, after so many years, they have a thing what they call an IB diploma. That's basically where a student, that's like, it's kind of complex. I mean, first, before I get into the diploma, let me talk about SL and HL. To do DP, a student has to have, remember I said 6 IB classes plus DOK? 3 have to be on the HL level and 3 have to be on the SL level. And that's because they want a variety, because everybody isn't a brainiac in everything. So they want to focus on people's strengths. And at our school, the HLs are IB literature, IB history, and usually the art type class, film, art, dance, theater, those type of class. Those are HLs that we offer here. We don't offer SL English because as a school, our strength are those types of classes. Now, for our SL classes are math, science, which is biology, and usually the language, Spanish, French, and Chinese. Those are our SL classes. They're not bad, they're not low. It's just the SL version. You have to have 3 anyway. So it's just that level to what those are the ones that we offer. Now, sometimes people kind of mix and match. Now, I won't get too deep in the weeds, but I will say this. The only class that we offer, the only IB class we offer that's 1 year long is IB Business Management, and they take it junior year. So because it's only 1 year, it has to be SL because, HL, it has to be 2 years to be HL. So business management is SL. So if somebody takes, if they're a DP and they take business management, they have to take biology, HL, so the HL and SL match up, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I can kind of, this is not the most important stuff about the HL and SL. I can kind of give you an idea of what that means when you see it. Now, somebody is doing a la carte, they do like a random IB class here and there. A college might say, oh, well, we'll give this much credit for HL score, or HL 4 or 5, we'll give you credit for this class. SL 4 or 5, we'll give you credit for this class. So they're different. But if somebody's from DP, they're taking them all anyway. They're taking all the IB, a variety of IB classes. So it's not really as big of a thing because they're in the whole, they sign up for the whole package time. So they don't really need to think about what's HL and SL. You're in a program, you make the scores, it's still hell of a classes, they're happy about that, All right, so to get now, with all that being said, the biggest accolade that DP students receive is the IB Diploma. And that's basically where out of those 6 subjects, they take those exams senior year. And I think it's a 1 through 7 scale. So for 6 classes, 7 points per class for the exam at the end. Now, if they make a total 24 points out of all those combined, that's really like 4 points per exam. Honestly, it's not super hard to do. But if they, make that many, that additional 4 points, 24 points altogether, and they do the CAS, I mentioned, the creativity, activity service, and the extended essay I mentioned, all that kind of stuff. Then they have a TOK pair, they do all those kind of things. Then they can get the IB Diploma, and all that means is that their ranking is among the rest of the world. So, like if we were in Europe, people would say, I have to get the diploma to get into my school. And so they're striving to get the IB Diploma. So it's an awesome designation to have, but in America, it's not mandatory. But it's a nice accolade. So we're proud when people get diplomas. We celebrate them, we have IB diplomas, but it's not the end all be all. It's like the icing on the cake. So we want students to strive for the diploma, shoot for the diploma. We don't want students to just not try, but they don't get it. It's okay. Every student that we had in IB for the last 10 years still gets a college of their choice. They still get the scholarship they want to get. They still get the college credit. Everything. If you don't get the diploma, they still get the credit for the classes that they have scored 4 higher on, depending on the college they went to. So that's what it is. But that's the big designation of the IB diploma. So just not to confuse people who are high school people. You get your diploma regardless. I mean, you're going to graduate high school either way. The IB diploma comes out later, after the scores come out. And then, let's say around, December or so of the following year, we invite the students back. We have an event called Legacy Night, where we have all the students that graduated come back to get their IB diplomas and sit on the stage and talk to our current IB students about what's college all about. Like, you made it through, how did you get out of Healer's class? What did you do in so-and-so test? So how did you, they'll tell them about college life. So anyway, but the main thing is so they can get their roses, we can celebrate them, and they get their diplomas. If they don't get the diploma, they still get a certificate, they still get something, because I mean they did accomplish the program. But I just want to put it out there. So not your high school diploma, they'll get that regardless, but they get a second diploma based on an international type of diploma, from IB. And just to put it out there, if they want to go somewhere out the country, they could. They had an IB diploma and want to go to France or South America, Europe for school, they can with the IB diploma. Now, in America, though, a student might say, I would advise you, if you're thinking like, I don't know about this game, think about this. You go to your favorite college website and just look up IB, AP, conversion, whatever, what they take for score conversion, what they take. And it looks at you, say, you only take files, whatever it is, but you'll see a little asterisk where it says, but for the diploma, so it's like extra stuff we get. We've had students that start off as sophomore, we have students that say, hey, graduate high school, walk across the stage, go to college, sophomore, off top, don't even, because that IB diploma. That depending on the school. Some schools might start in the second semester freshman. You have enough credit to start in the second semester is done. But like I said, for the Harvards and the Stanfords and the all those kind of schools, they don't give you credit no matter what. They say you want to take our class anyway, but they got into the schools based on their performance or in the class and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's the IB diploma. I'm sorry, next slide, please. All right, so that's the IB diploma. Now I'm gonna jump on the CP certificate, which is kind of similar, but you can't get 24 points to CP because you can't have, you only have so many IB classes, so you can't get the whole this class. But they do get a CP certificate, like everybody gets something. So when DP students don't finish all, they say don't score all the classes, they get a certificate. All the DP students get that, but it's based on their scores on the exam. You can't make 2, you have to be making a passing score on whatever IB class they take. It can be 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. But also, they have to finish that pathway, and I don't know if you notice or not, but when they finish the pathway, if it's audio video tech, they get like a industry certification. So we have students that graduate hard, finish the pathway, and they go work on a film set. They work in the movie industry or something like that. Atlanta is big for that. So you might say, you know what, now I can work, I have the skills for an employable, job doing something related to my pathway. So that's why they want to finish the pathway. They love that particular thing. Now just put it out there. If you're in the engineering pathway, it doesn't mean you're going to graduate and be an engineer. It means you're going to go to school before that, but it really is something that you enjoy doing. Our engineering students, they might have a certification, but it's just, showing that they have accumulated some knowledge and talent to be certified in certain aspects of engineering. But I don't want people to think that you're going to be an electrical engineer, based on pathway. So just put it out there. It takes college for that. All right, and then also that's the CPA option, or they can do the fine arts pathway. But just to put it out there, the fine arts pathway really means the fine arts diploma C. And that's how, and the way it is, they complete the fine arts pathway, we prefer they take a fourth fine arts class. It can be the same or not, doesn't matter each one, but we prefer they have four. So if they try art the first year and did theater 3 other years, that's fine, that counts. But they prefer to have something for 4 years. And then but there's a community service part to that too, but that's automatically met through CAS and service learning. That's done automatically, so you don't have to worry about it because that's built into the program. That's part of it. And there's a capstone presentation. Now, I'm working with our teachers, we already have different things we illustrate. They just show the students work through art or through dance or through theater. So that's already done. So really, we just to make it easy for everybody. We just say, do a fine arts pathway, do CP, but really it's the fine arts diploma seal. That's the main thing that you get. So that's the extra accolade that comes from CP if you do fine arts. If you do CPAE, it's that end of pathway assessment and industry certification. So that's what they get from those. All right, so let me pause. How's everybody doing? Everybody okay so far? Y'all following me? Everybody's good? Okay, all right. So now we're getting towards the end on the paper that you have on the bottom of this little notes. If you have any questions, jot it down. I don't know my time is looking. Okay, we have a little time. We have just enough to get through. So if you have any questions, jot them down. But towards the end, I'll make sure to try to address them if we can while we're here. Next slide, please. Okay, so now, so with all that being said, so we talked about AP, college level class, 1 through 5 scale, 10-point weight, mix and match. We talked about DP, 6 classes, college level, 2 years long, 14 in all, highest of the high, best of the best, top of the top, you a high flyer. That's what that is. We got CP, mix and match, stay in your pathway. You love art, you love film, you love engineering, audio video tape. You can do it. Take a couple here, a couple there, do your best. That's CP. And now we'll talk about dual enrollment. Now, that's the other option that we have available at MJHS. Now, one thing I can say, so basically, dual enrollment is the students take classes here at Major Jackson, and they also go to a college to take classes at Major Jackson. I don't know if the cost of this a little bit at some point, but the thing is, so it's called dual enrollment because they're dually enrolled. So they're at both schools. So they'll get the college credit at the class for being at the school for being in the class, and they get the high school credit for being in high school. And it's looking at 10-point weight also, but only for the core classes. So they're taking art or cosmetology or something else at the college that's not English, math, science, social studies, they don't get 10 points. But if it's English, math, science, social studies, they do those points, in the 10 points in addition to the class. Now people always ask, can somebody do dual enrollment and so first of all, dual enrollment and DP? The answer is no, because the schedule is so full, you don't have time to enroll. Now, if somebody asks, can you do CP and enrollment? The answer is yes, technically, but it hasn't happened because the logistics are so hard. Like, that means the time of the class at the other school has to match the time of our class for both years, and it just hasn't happened. So I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's just not likely somebody do that. You have a question? I think that you can, and there's also a possibility, we'll talk about it later, that ACCA may not be that pathway perhaps. It's not set in stone, we can talk more about it, but we may have where the ACCA pathway could be the CP pathway. But we can discuss it, we'll talk a little bit later about it. All right, so now we have a partnership with 3 schools. The 3 schools are Atlanta Metropolitan State College, Atlanta Technical College, and Georgia State. Those are 3 schools that we partner with dual enrollment. Now, I can tell you right, these are the qualifications to get in, the SAT scores, all that kind of good stuff, the GPA, that's what you need. But I will say this, now, in the past, a bus will come and take, now, maybe the case now, the bus will take students from here to, Atlanta Technical College, or Atlanta Metro College, will take one of those two schools, and, they'll come back, they'll have the first half of the day here, second half of the day there, and so on and so forth, that's how it works. But with Georgia State, though, you need your own transportation, you can't just, you have to go to Georgia State, you can't, a bus will take it. So you have to provide your own transportation to Georgia State, if you want to go that route. So it's an option that people do. All right, now, I'll leave it there. Next slide, please. Okay, so a few things I want you to consider. Dual enrollment was a long time ago, before we had IB. Dual enrollment was our claim to fame. Now it's a big thing. If people say, "Oh, I got my associate's degree," that was a big thing to say. I graduated high school with an associate's degree. That was a big thing at one point in time. But maybe like 2018, 2019, around that time, the state put a cap on how many hours students can take because they were basically losing money. Like people were just taking all kinds of free classes, and they're like, "Wait a minute, well, you gotta stop this." So basically, there's a 30-hour cap, which means basically, so if a college course is 3 credit hours, for example, that's really like 10 classes. So there's a cap of 10 courses that somebody can take for dual enrollment. So the days of the associate's degree when you graduate are past. That's no longer the case. And just to be transparent, the last time that I was in, now I've been here for 10 years, the last time that a student has moved to Georgia Tech from dual enrollment was 2016. That never happened since then, because ever since IB has trumped, because if you think about it, it's a DP student, for example, is taking 14 high-level classes, whereas the dual enrollment student is taking up to 10, and some of those 10 don't even count because they're not core classes. So that's what they need to consider. Also, I mentioned transportation already. I already said that. I mentioned the core classes. Now, the thing also, dual enrollment really counts for any state school. So let's say if you want to go to Kennesaw State or Valdosta State or Savannah State or something like that, you could do dual enrollment, but you would have to apply through the school. Just go to the school website, click on the dual enrollment tab, apply for it through them, send whatever qualification they have. Then they'll say, "Congratulations, you accepted." And then you go to the counselor here and say, "Hey, I accepted dual enrollment." Work it out. You might be online, perhaps. You might have to transfer. I mean, you might have to travel there, but that's how it works for a school that's not those 3 schools that I mentioned. All right, so just something to keep in mind. Now, I'm not a high school counselor. I manage programs that I mentioned, but I will say this: when people ask me about dual enrollment and whether they should do it or not, I'll always say it's okay if you want to go to Georgia State anyway. Like if that was your school, regardless, then hey, you might as well. You can go there and get a couple of credits in. You'll get out of the way. Although we have plenty of opportunities for Georgia State as well. If you want to do that, you can, but just know that it really is college. Like it's not like, they're college professors. So people think, oh, people assume erroneously that dual enrollment is the easy route. But at the end of the day, I mean, some people that aren't in high school, you assume C, but people do skip class sometimes. People, they don't go, people don't do this on occasion. So if a child, didn't go to dual enrollment or didn't go to Georgia State for a couple of days, they're going to fail you. Like they'll kick you out. And it's just sad to see students come back ashamed, after being dual enrollment. Now they're back at Major Jackson, taking the classes. But the worst thing is, now they finish their high school, they graduate, walk off stage, and they got a big old F on their college transcript because they failed dual enrollment because it is a college class that goes in their college transcript. So when they graduate, they have a D on their transcript walking out the door. It's just not a good look. So when we tell people to do it, that's fine, but take it seriously. Don't just go in there and think, "Oh, play around like Major Jackson." The teachers at dual enrollment aren't obligated to talk to you. They don't talk to parents. They only deal with the students. So if your child is mature and prepared for that, then cool. If not, then that's something to consider. All right, because of course, here we're all in the school. We do talk to the parents. Like we will work with you about a variety of things, but that's it. All right, so it's good for like state schools, all being included. I'll put some examples, like going to just put some random examples. Kennesaw, Valdosta, West Virginia, Savannah State, Georgia State, Georgia Southern, but not necessarily Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, they don't look at dual enrollment like that. They look at Georgia Tech. And I'm gonna show an example in a second. Not for Emory, dual enrollment will be working for Emory or a Spelman or a private school or an out-of-state school. So, if you want to go to like Clayton State or Austin State, Savannah State, it might be an option. Now, I'm still happy with IB, but I don't want to let dual enrollment option for those people. But if you want to go to those other types of schools, I recommend IBs like that because it's more recognized across the board. All right, this is a dual enrollment, I said it already. Okay, cool. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so way back when we first started, first got this program, everything was really new, and everybody was saying, what should I do? What do you offer? And why should we pick what we want to pick? And so a long time ago, I sent the email. I emailed the colleges. I emailed the admissions people and said, hey, I'm in Jackson, I'm over IB AP enrollment, well, IB AP, and we're offering these options. What do I think you should do? And the reply I received from this Emory, they said, you would lean towards the IB diploma for admission Emory. That's what they said. All right. And then the person says, this Georgia Tech. Generally speaking, because the IB program is more closely regulated, we can gain a better understanding of student academic potential through the courses taken through an IB program rather than through a enrollment program. So I'm not saying you can't get into this college. We have good kids at a good enrollment fine. But for certain schools, it's probably, there are other options that are better. That's the progress. All right, the next slide, please. I'm so one more real quick. This is Stanford, by the way. We prefer that students maxes out their school's most demanding curriculum before moving on to external opportunities, such as dual enrollment. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but depending on where you want your students to go, that's something to consider, what they're saying. Okay, all right, next slide, please. Okay, now, so talk about that. So we covered a bunch. AP, DP, CP, dual enrollment. Now we're talking about ACCA. That's the Atlanta College and Career Academy. Now, some kids don't like school. Some kids they barely want to come to school. They want to get a job, want to go out there and do something, and that's fine. So we have students that can do the Atlanta College and Career Academy. That's where they can, study to be aviation maintenance, they get a job at the airport or something like that. Or they can learn graphic design, like at another location. Or they can do carpentry, or automotive technology, physical mechanics, that kind of thing. So if somebody in HVAC, air conditioner, refrigeration, stuff like that. So people on that type of, they like that type of career path, that's what they can do. Only thing I want to mention about it is that to participate in those things, they have to be on track to graduate. So they can't have failed any classes. They have to pass, basically if they did fail a class, they have to have made it up before 11th grade to even participate. So for those that are new 9th and 10th grade parents, for 8th and 9th grade parents, I just want to put out there that your child is like, man, my child's not college bound. He'll get a job, he or she will get a job and get a career and kind of jump into a field. And they're very lucrative fields, mind. I'm not dissing any of the field, but I think that but they have to do well in school to be in those opportunities too. So if a child says, I want to be a mechanic, I'm like, this high school stuff don't matter, and you still fail classes, you can't even do the automotive thing. So just keep that in mind. Your grades matter. I know when freshmen come to high school, there's a lot of freedom in high school. I know the 10th grade parents remember when their children were in 9th grade. It's a bigger environment, it's more free, it's a lot going on. And so they have to have in mind, they think my grades don't matter, nobody cares. They care. Part of my job is looking at the grades. I'm gonna put this like a problem wrong. The 10th graders that are here right now, we have 384 10th graders in the building right now. The requirement for DP and CP is that they have a 3.0 GPA. So I go to our counselor and I say at a certain time of year when the time is right, I go to our counselor and say, okay, can I get a list of all the 10th graders ranked from high to low GPA? And they send it to me. And everybody that's 3.0 or less than 3.0, they're cut off. And so everybody that's in that same arena above that is 3.0 or higher, then we say they're eligible for all of these things, all these options, DP, CP, AP, and that's what. So with that said, out of that 384, 250 meet that criteria. 250, and that's when I go to the campus and I got all the emails and I put them in a little bit and I send you emails saying you're eligible for such. You can do and that's what it is because you're eligible to do it. Now, some people didn't get those emails because we don't want to have somebody barely making it and we won't put them even harder classes. But if somebody is making it and they are doing well, they would want to say, all right, well, let's just take it a step further. Let's just move on up to prepare you even more. Because it should be some kind of challenge, but I'll get into that part at the end. But that's ACCA, so that's an optional table if anybody's interested. All right, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, next slide. All right, that's the information I just told you about. Or this is from last year or 2022, but it's still relevant in terms of what the requirements are for ACCA. All right, next slide. Okay, so what to do next? So for most of you, and I'm saying this also, I'm missing 250 that are eligible for, so some people out of that 250, it whittled down to maybe 218 because people had scheduled issues, some things where it just didn't work out. So out of that 218 or so, 50 have already said DP. 50 people in this room probably have already said, they already talked to the counselor, they go with DP. I'm happy, I'm proud, I'm trying to increase the program. We want, because it's been success since we started. And that's the whole goal. We want you to be successful. And if we have a proven track record of success, then why not just let's grow it, so 50 is already decided. We have another 50 that's already said CP. CP, I want to do it, I'm already here. And then we have another 100 or so that are still kind of on the fence. They want to come with it tonight, or just get more information, kind of, which is wise, kind of get more information about it and going on. But that's why Dr. Daniel said this may be our biggest cohort, because just to be transparent, the pandemic affected us a lot. Like, we were on the rise. I mean, every year was a steadily increase in every way until the pandemic. Then of course, we were online, then we had virtual school, then we had the weird, one year in a semester situation and all of that. But then we came back, and we had, then we finally kind of got our mojo back, and now we're back. Now the buzz is back, and now the school is kind of somewhat back to normal now. And so now our program has grown a lot more. And so now it's time to start getting back to say, okay, let's go ahead and get back on the face and just, do what you're supposed to do and get to these. Let's let our children live up to the potential that we know they have, basically. All right. So that's and just to put it out there, if you take an Ivy Lit, if you started Ivy Lit already, I'll tell you about a summer assignment. It's only for one. Some years ago, a parent said, you don't need one summer assignment. People travel and do stuff. We understand. So there is one summer assignment, probably a reading assignment for Ivy Lit. If we chose Ivy already, eventually, about a month or so, you'll get information from me about it, and then we'll go from there. If you did not, if you want to do ACCA or dual enrollment, I recommend talk to the counselors. And these are the counselors. These are all counselors by last name. So, and even if you're not at Mayor Jackson yet, you can still contact those counselors, because when you come to Mayor Jackson, if your last name is any of these last names, that will be your counselor. So they can kind of tell you, what's going on, what your options are, what's on the table. So for dual enrollment, ACCA, your counselor is the person to go to, they can point you in the right direction. I'll be an AP, you probably already know if you're in 10th grade, and if you're not, then you can talk, we can talk another time about about what the options are in that regard. And that's it. So next slide, please. Oh, you know what? Never mind, this is fine. So for 8th grade, I mentioned the grades count. Make sure you get your grades, read what we need, the math test. All right. Y'all know that, y'all heard the math test, about that, especially with 8th grade and all that kind of stuff. We used to let parents decide. But to be honest, it led to disparity in our programs, because that's not good. Okay. All right, it led to disparities in the program, because when we let parents just say, I want to do the advanced classes, we would have students that are like better, higher academically, but nobody said take the class. So we have like a high caliber student sitting in a non-AP class, while we have a not as high student sitting in the class because their parent asked. So from here on out, not here on out, but we have it where if a student makes proficient or higher on their math scores, we're just going to put them in 8th grade. We're going to put them in an AP class in 9th grade. We're going to do, unless you say otherwise, which I'm not sure why I want to do it, but we're going to do that. So that's the thing. So if you make a certain score, you're going to be in AP class in 9th grade just to get you started, get your feet wet, see how you do. Now, if you bomb out in AP class and don't do well, okay, we'll pull you out. It's not the end of the world. But that's what they want to put out there. Look at college, university. Oh, so that's what I'm saying. So the math test, take it seriously, y'all. So when you're in 8th grade and they say, let's take the math test. You think, oh, it doesn't matter, this was for data. No. We get the data. The data comes to us. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I pulled that data. I went to certain counselors, particularly with King schools. I went to the counselor. I said, can I get the email addresses of these people, please? They sent it to me, and that's how I got your email. You're in 9th grade, 8th grade parent. That's how I got your email, because your child probably made proficient higher math test. And I want to tell you in person, go ahead and take AP class. So I can tell you how to wind them down and take these higher classes and get into these competitive programs and college, university scholarships and like. So just give you some background on how it works behind the scenes. So math tests are important, grades are important. Don't let them tell you nothing about us. All right. let me see, college bound, your college tell you what they need, what they want to have, so just look into that. And the personal project, so that's also a thing, so, a lot of 10th graders are familiar with what they call a personal project, which is a project. Now, Ms. Galloway, she's in our group right now, she's assisting us with technology. But that is it's basically, she's our NYP coordinator, and she also manages the personal project for our students. So all I'm gonna say, that's not really my jurisdiction, but I am gonna say this. It doesn't have to be flawless, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we need you to do it. You know what I'm saying? That's a factor in terms of getting into DP and CP. So, I don't wanna step on her toes and step above, out of DP and go into NYP realm. But I will say that if you heard about the personal project, go ahead and do it, because God will take it on. Next slide, please. Okay, so somebody said, I don't like it. How do I come out? It's like, the guy not be in it, let's say in over their head. Like, I don't think it's like this. I want to get out. This is how somebody gets out. So basically, they fail to a class. You fail 2 classes, we're gonna pull you out because graduation is more important. I love IB, but graduation is important than IB. So if you fail 2 classes, we'll just we can take you out, push you other classes, you can make them up, keep going. The good news is, since you were all advanced classes anyway, it won't really hurt you as much. You might get a little dingling GPA, but unfortunately, all the other weighted classes kind of keep you afloat, and you just keep on moving graduate high school. No harm, no foul. You gave it a shot. We'll keep going. Now, if you fail 1 class, we're going to say, all right, pick it up, dust it up. Do better next time. Let's keep going. Because you just keep on moving. We're going to finish. And that's what it is. And they make it dependent on the class. They may have to make it up, but for some classes, like an elective, they can just not think, okay, this time, do better next time. We'll teach you skills on how to do better next time, next semester, and that's it. So, all right, it's time to that. Oh, my time is almost up. All right, so we'll go to this brief. All right. So, okay, well, so there are fees involved. For AP, every AP exam, it costs $97. The district pays 90% of that cost for low-income students. Maynard Jackson pays the other 10%. So in other words, no AP, well, if the low-income student does not pay for AP exams, for a non-low-income student, then the district pays 75%, and we charge the parents the other 25%. It hasn't happened yet. I've been busy with this kind of stuff so far, but I'm just going to put it out there in about a week or two. If you take it in an AP class now, and it's not low income, you probably get an email from me with information about the payment, but it's really going to be like $25. That's what it is, $25 per exam, which is doable for most people. But that's what the AP exams cost. Now, and it's zero for that lower. Now, for IB exams, every IB exam is $119. So if somebody's in DP, that's 6 of them. That's $714. The district still pays 90%, and we still pay 10%. So for every low income student in DP or CP or whatever, they still don't pay anything at the moment. Now, I can't say that like it's fair. We try hard to make it equitable. So we want to make sure we want to be inclusive as possible. So far we've been doing this, but for now, it's free for anybody that's low income. If it's not low income, then it's $30 per exam. If it's 60, if it's DP, it ends up being $180 at the end, and that's due around November of the student's senior year. So just keep that in mind. The exam not senior year, so it's plenty of time to think about that. But that's what the cost is. If they're doing CP, it's $30 per exam. That's what the cost is. But once they're in the programs, I can see our information out. If we're in AP, it's coming out soon, the next week or two. All right, that's it. So next slide, please. Thank you for your patience, everybody. So let me see a few additional quotes on those about payments. That's what I forgot. Okay. If you are in AB class or an IB course, we require you to take the AP or IB exam. To be very frank with y'all, it's like a slap in the face to the school, to the community when somebody says, you know what, I'm in college, I'm not taking this test, I'm already accepted, I'm already ready to go, I'm not gonna take the exam. Then that means that the teacher don't know how they did, the teacher doesn't even know if they did a good job. We don't see the scores, we don't know how the students did. The taxpayer money that the district is using to pay for this is wasted. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, the College Board for AP charged us $40. Like if you order an exam for us, right there in the class, you get the exam for them, and they don't take it, and if we have to send a blanket exam to them, they charge us $40. which you would in turn charge the parent. So the moral of the story is just, if you don't think you did well in the class, that's okay. Just sit for the exam, take the test. You never know. It doesn't hurt. You might get college credit, you might not, but it's not. We want you to take the test. It hurts the morale. It's a bad thing because it makes the students think it's not important. You get the picture. So take the IB, and especially for the AP, that's the AP. For the IB exam, it's especially true because the district, it's a thing that you'll see where they'll say the amount they pay, the 75% or 90% they pay for a student that doesn't take the test, they'll ask to be reimbursed that amount. So the $119 I mentioned, they'll say, okay, you paid 30, but if you don't take this test, could you give us the rest of the money that we paid already? Because it's like APS is making an investment saying we're going to just pay this money, thinking that you're going to do well, and this so you have a chance to do well. So if somebody doesn't even try, then it's kind of like, well, I don't know, it's just not a good look. So that's all I'm saying. You're APIB, just take this answer again. All right, next, hold on, Linda Barry, sit there. All right, next slide, please. All right, I'm doing last little minutes, and thank y'all for your patience. I'm gonna wrap this up right now. See last little few points. I'm gonna say, take any questions. If anybody wants to stay after, I'll be right here to take any questions. But let me just look at these last few points with you. So this is myth. Now, over the years, there's always been different myths about IB, what we think about it, and what it's about. So I want to clear some of those up tonight with you. So it says I have to take all honors class in 9th grade. You don't. I mean, it's good, it's fine. Because remember, honors is a designation. It's basically saying, it's all it's saying is they want to take AP class or IB class later. That's it. But it's not mandatory. Believe it or not, we have people who say, oh, that's a charter school thing. ACCA Wesley is IB. We're not IB. I can't. I can do it. I do the charter school. That's false. That's a fallacy. So it's for every student. Every student at MJHS can do IB if all things that I mentioned. There's no barrier based on where you went to. If I don't get an IB, I'll use the diploma, I'll waste my time. So I missed the diploma earlier, icing on the cake and all that. 60% of students in the world get the IB diploma. Everybody get the IB diploma. It's just a nice accolade to have. It's good to have, but you didn't waste your time. You still get the college credit, you still get the college when you get it to, you still get the scholarship, everything happens the way you thought it would. Only the super smart kids do IB. I mean, some do, but the majority of kids, honestly, are regular kids who say, you know what, I want to take these courses. It's not based on mental ability. It's just based on they chose to take these courses that are get almost guaranteed to put them in a certain level. You can't make this an easier. So everybody, regardless of what kind of student they are, they don't fail. When they graduate, that trainer is going to say A, B, A, B, A, B. And it's going to say, I be this, AP that, I be this, AP that. And it's going to say community service. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be good regardless. So don't think that, oh, my child, he's not the smartest in the whole school, so he can't do it. Or she. That's not the case. So I'll put it out here too. VPs are going to go outside the country. I already said that. It's great. You can go outside the country, but that's not a cool reason. It's a lot of accolades in the country too. Next slide. All right. It's too hard. I'll be first out to see here. All right. So real quick, challenge. So I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to lie and say everybody's walking by be like it's nothing. But at the same time, everybody does. We don't have it where kids go on IB and then, just bomb out, flunk out. They be coaching. That's part of my job. But I work with the teachers, the counselors, the administrators, the students, and the parents. So we help them through this process. We teach them about the skill, the study skills, the time management, the communication, so we can walk them through this. Because it's better, in my opinion, to have a challenging or have a little challenge in high school, and then when you go to college, you have an easier time. And I'm gonna tell you this, it's a fact. Whenever the students come back, they always, and we've never had a student that came back from college and said, I wish I didn't do it. They always, like 99% of the time, say, hey, I'm so much better than the other students in the class because I know what I'm doing. So just one fact out there. I get better grades on DP. I told you about that part already. You can make better grades, but like I said, a B in a higher class still looks as good or better than an A in a general class. Do I really hate class and not trying to go to university? That goes back to the skill thing. It's teaching you about certain skills, not necessarily just about getting college credit. I don't think about college credit all the time. Think about just the skill to do better in certain environments. All right, it is really, if this makes school a good amount of students. We don't get any, just to put it out there, I don't get any kind of stipend or any kind of bonus or anything. Nobody gets anything extra for how many people are in IB or the kind of scores we get. To be honest, y'all, our success comes from the student success. And that's it. I'm just happy to say, hey, you know, when you look at these students, we had a small role in their success. That's all it is to it. So don't think that, oh, you just want to give people an IB just because. No, we wouldn't put you an IB if we think you couldn't do it. So that's what I'm saying. We know you can. All right, next slide, please. We're almost done, y'all. Community university. Oh, I'm waiting. That's what people say. College will look at when GPA anyway. Not quite. Now, some colleges will say, just to be fair, we're going to just not look at all unweighted, but they're still going to see AP this, IB that, AP this. So it's still going to kind of bump a little over, even without the weight. And if they do look at the weight, that's even more. So just keep that in mind. And just so you know, when I showed y'all the weight of the GPAs, the GPAs of the colleges, that was with the weighted. So when I just Google it, look up, you know, it's going to show the weighted because it has some kind of consideration. Don't think it's meaningless because it does mean something. Now, I'm not gonna get to this thing right now. All I'm gonna say is this: on the mission statement, it doesn't say anything about scholarships. Don't say anything about the highest GPA or the top student or anything. It says they want knowledgeable, caring, inquiry, young people who help create a better, more peaceful world. It's cultural understanding. They want students that across the world to be active, compassionate, lifelong learners to understand young people with the differences can be right. So just know when I'm talking about CAS and service, we don't want a school of elitists. We don't want a school within a school. We want Jackson to be inclusive environment. So when you go in IB or your child goes in IB, we don't promote the philosophy that, oh, I'm just so better than everybody else in the school. You know, you're a part of the school taking these particular classes, and that's what it is. So we want to promote that too. So I know I'm talking about college and GPAs and transcripts and all that kind of good stuff, but at the end of the day, really the point is making good, you know, citizens and people and, you know, for the world, basically. Next slide, please. Okay, final takeaways, learn profile. So if you went to any of those schools I mentioned, I know you've heard about learn profile. It's still a thing, y'all. I know in elementary school, you think, oh, no, learn profile, oh, that's just learn profile. But we in 11th grade, we still learn profile. They still learn profile. We still talk about, you know, being, you have a principal, they carry the whole line or good. It's still a thing. It's still a thing. It's almost a thing. All that stuff fell off in elementary school and middle school. We do it, except for it's in action. When they do CAS, if I can tell you about later, is they're actually putting it in action from a high school level. The garden on our school, it's the garden on Blue Cross School. I used to did that. When we talk about disparities in the group, we had our obviously the king or the minority obviously, the black obviously. They went out to say, hey, we can talk to some of our peers about the benefits of the program, because in my book, the way I see it, a rising tide lifts all. So if you're not on the hook, you can't rise everybody else. So my request is if you're eligible to be on the hook, go ahead and rise on top of everybody else. Because if not, that's somebody else doing that. So all right, let me see. Anything else I told you about that virtual learning? One thing. I know over time, y'all, I'm gonna get last few points out. So a lot of students in 10th grade, they're like a high caliber student. They're used to making A's for like very anything. Couldn't able to get A+. They really get A's really doing this, A's for nothing, not for nothing, but they do it's easy for them to make the grades. So when they get to IB, they think, oh, I just, I should get 110 in everything. And that's not accurate. There should be some kind of challenge. School isn't supposed to be, I mean, you can make all A's and everything, but it will take significant work to make all A's and everything, all 810s and everything. So I don't want people to think that's the norm, basically. So, basically we're saying get 110 in every class, doesn't have a significant effort, doesn't have without significant effort. And some people get so hard on their grades, they'll do anything for the A, lie, cheat, steal for the A. That's not what we do, y'all. We try to keep it, we try to keep it credible, keep it, principled, ethical, and all that kind of good stuff. So if your grades are suffering, that means you might have to stay a little more. You might have to, maybe not go to practice that night. You might miss that day and stay. But I do want to put out our students do take 7 IB classes and have lives and go to parties and hang out and have work with girlfriend and do all this kind of stuff. So and play sports and all of that. So I don't think it's just a life consuming thing. It's just school. And that's probably will conflicts and everything. But first, if anybody does need help, there's a problem, just ask for help. That's part of our job. Next slide, please. Okay, so Lastly, I know, so you said last thing a lot. This is really good. So, just a quick fact for you, just so you know. Every year since we've had IB, for the last 10 years, it's been the most number of college acceptances, the most, college retention, the most scholarships ever, every year. And that's including minorities, including low income students, all of it. So I want parents to think, oh, that doesn't affect me, it does. You know, whether people from Summerhill, Mechanicsville, wherever, they still have these same accolades coming up. You know what I mean? So I want to put that out there for everybody that's what I mean by rise out those levels. I mentioned that part about season it. There'll be some challenge on it. You going for this moment, season it. And I this part down here just saying it's just if they would have went, if your child went to North Atlanta or Decatur or Riverwood or Marietta or Druid Hills or Forsyth or even Atlanta, that's a private school or any other Ivy school, they're doing the same thing. So we're no different. Your children are no different. They're the same kids like your kids, except for they chose to take these classes and they're in the class to do it, just like your children will probably be in the future. So don't think that IB is this ruling, awful thing. You know, it's just a hard, rigorous. It's just school. When they they do homework and they take classes. It's just that sometimes students are not used to doing homework that often, or not used to like doing extra mile and studying, and so. But that helps them down the road when they get those skills and they do go to college. That's why they do better, because they have that. Even if they don't go to college, they go to a job, they still better at the job because they just know how to do better work. All right, next slide, please. This is the last slide. So this is my contact information, and this will, if you want to scan this QR code, it's any feedback, any questions, please go ahead and scan it if you like. You can, this is a quick little survey. You can put in, any questions you might have, any feedback for me, if anything is unclear, if anything you're unsure about, I can help you, guys along. And thank you very much. So you're welcome to go. I'll be right at the end of this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Por ejemplo,